Hello, my oil-loving friend. Or maybe you aren't oil-loving, but you're curious about this video and so you landed on it. But then if that's the case after this, if you do give this a try, you might become an oil-loving friend. We are going to do something together. If you can, grab bergamot essential oil, which you may not have if you're not an oil-loving friend. You could still go through the motions with me. You could hear about the power of this oil and this technique, and then you can get your hands on some and try this out. If you do not have bergamot, or some people call it bergamot, essential oil, you could also use sweet orange or wild orange, as some people call it. You could also use grapefruit. I don't recommend lemon or lime because they are harsher on the skin. Even when they're diluted, they're pretty intense. Many of the citrus oils are photosensitizing, which means if you put them directly on your skin and then you go out in the sun, it's highly likely that you will get a very severe sunburn. So you want to be mindful with the citrus oils. Not all of them, but most of them, so just beware. I recommend using a diluted bergamot essential oil, and in general, if you take it to a 25% strength, which means 75% of it is carrier oil, that could be jojoba oil or fractionated coconut oil, then the likelihood of having a photosensitizing reaction is very, 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 very low. In all of my years of clinical practice, doing this thousands of times, I never saw a reaction with the diluted bergamot, but I have plenty of reactions with undiluted. The point that we're going to be using is in the ear. It's right up here in the upper crevice of the ear, and it's on both sides. Yeah, find it on yourself right now. I usually use my pinky finger because it fits just right. So you see this, they call it the triangular fossa. It's a sweet little crevice that your pinky kind of fits right into. So first, let's just talk about a little bit about bergamot, and then a little bit about this point and why you should care about what I'm sharing with you. Actually, let's talk about that first. Why should you care about what? Why should you use your precious time to stay with me right now and hear this? Because this particular technique is one of the fastest ways to reset and recalibrate the whole nervous system and create a fascial release within the body. Of all of the tools that I've studied and learned over my many years practicing as a holistic healthcare provider, this has been the most profound. And there's many tools out there. You know, there's tapping, there's breath work. There's acupuncture, which I also practice. There's Reiki. There's so many healing modalities that deeply relax and recalibrate the nervous system. But what I love about this one is that it's fast, it's easy, and somebody can do it on themselves on the fly. I pretty much always have diluted bergamot in my purse, in the car, in my backpack, because I know if I'm stressed, if I'm anxious, bergamot, this technique cleared me of long-standing PTSD reactions in my body. Like, I used to sometimes, when I'd have a PTSD trigger, I would curl up in a fetal position, and I didn't even feel or think that I could move. I didn't even know or feel or think that I could ask for help. And how it started out was actually that my husband would start, because he knew how powerful this technique was, he would do it on me when he would see me reacting. And then I actually got to a point, and I'll never forget the day, where I had a powerful post-traumatic stress response in an automobile, and I started to, curl in on myself. I didn't actually curl into the fetal position at that particular time for a reason I won't go into, but I was, in terms of my mental body and emotional body, just curling in on myself. And I had the wherewithal to take out my bergamot and to put the bergamot on myself. It was like all I could bring myself to do. And within about 2 minutes, I was unfurled, unraveled from that experience. I was plopped into presence in my body, and I was fine. It felt like magic. That's how profound it was. So that's one of my most powerful experiences with it. I have a lot of more mild ones, when I'm just angry and irritable, or I'm stressed about something like money, or, these things that kind of get under our skin, thinking about somebody that said something to me and what does that mean, and all these things that we loop around on, and they're not actually helping and supportive for us. Think bergamot. Think Bergamot Reset, Bergamot Reset, Bergamot Reset. So not only do I have plenty of stories, but I had a clinical practice for 20 years treating thousands and thousands of people with this particular technique, witnessing what changes in them as I'm treating them, but also hearing from them what happens as they are then empowered to have this little tool. Some of the most beautiful stories that I witnessed, clinical stories, had to do with people that had phobias, and being able to be liberated from the nightmare of their phobia because of this. The most powerful one, I really want to share this story with you because it's so beautiful. It was a little boy who had is it agoraphobia? Which I hope I'm getting that right. He was terrified to go outside. He was homeschooled, but he actually had some friends that would come over to his house, and he really wanted to be able to do a sleepover. They were getting at that age where kids did sleepover, and he couldn't even comprehend how he would be able to go and do this sleepover. Now I was treating him for some weeks with the oils and with acupuncture, and I gave him a bottle of bergamot, diluted bergamot, for him, and he kept it with him. And he came into my office one day with his parent, and he was smiling so big. And I said, "What are you so happy about?" And he said, Miss Tiffany, I went to a sleepover." And I said, "You did? What happened?" And he said, "I had this." He pulled the bergamot out of his pocket. I said, "Did you use it? Did it help?" And he said, "No, I only had to have it in my pocket, and that's what helped me." It's so stunning. And what to me that is a powerful example of is that once our body and our nervous system actually gets used to the reset with the bergamot, we can actually just smell it or know that it's there, and our nervous system can recalibrate because it has a different reference point for itself. So whether you just need to chill out because you're worried about something, or you need to stop thinking about something, or you're having some kind of panic attack, think bergamot. Now I know it's harder. It's definitely harder, and I still experience this, to self-treat when we're in the what's the expression, in the throes of it, like in the midst of the most intense part of it. But if you can remember or make an agreement with somebody in your household that they can bergamot you, this is the agreement between my husband and I. We can bergamot each other if we can see that either one of us is sort of spinning out. He just walks up behind me and does it. I walk up behind him and do it. We have it on our shelf in the kitchen, and can go to it easily. Monara.org, our essential oil company, we have a pre-diluted bergamot, so you don't have to worry about diluting it, and the safety issues there. Okay, so bergamot itself, which is called the bringer of balance, brings balance. It'll bring relative balance in relationship to you for whatever is needed. So if your energy tends to go up in more manic style, then it will help your energy drop down. If your energy tends to drop down and you get discouraged, you go into despair and depression and you can't pull yourself up, then it will lift your energy up. So it has an adaptogenic-like effect on our nervous system, on our emotional body, and our mental body. The other thing is that it creates within the body, particularly when we put it on this point, a fascial unwinding. The fascia is the connective tissue that runs all throughout the body. Think of it like saran wrap that wraps around all of your organs, all of your bones. It ultimately is everything connects to everything through the fascia. And we all have fascial patterns and fascial distortion or winding or tightening around certain areas of the body. It might be where you've had a physical injury. It might be where if you have emotional injury at the level of the heart and you have a lot of broken trust, you might roll your shoulders forward in protecting the heart. You might contract in subtle or not so subtle ways around the liver if you have issues with expressing anger. So there's many different patterns of body armoring in relationship to our personal and karmic history, really. And when you place the bergamot on point Shen Min in the ear, it's bringing balance directly to your central nervous system, relative balance, and it is creating this unwinding of the fascial armoring patterning in the body. As your fascia unwinds, you're actually available to exchange with life differently than you were before you put the bergamot on. I mean, let's just take a really concrete example. If I'm teaching a class and I'm afraid of people judging me, I'm really nervous because people have hurt me before and I felt the harsh judgments of people. And so I'm exaggerating now, but yeah, my shoulders are forward. I'm protected around my heart. I'm kind of looking up nervously at the group. My voice is a little bit more gravelly, and I'm attempting to teach and communicate from this place. And people, if they don't know me, they're going to be kind of reacting a little tentatively, like, oh, is she okay? I don't know. Should I trust her? And so they're reflecting back to me my very fears. This is kind of the radical cosmic joke about our body armoring, is it ultimately gives shape to what we fear most, and then it becomes reflected back to us with greater ease. So then say I stop, I say to the group, I'm really nervous right now, I'm afraid you all are going to reject me. Gosh, wouldn't that be, that's kind of my ideal world, where we just go right to the thing and say the thing. So then I place bergamot on Point Shen Min in the ear, which we're going to do together in a second. Let's just do it right now. If you have your bergamot diluted, take a drop, put it on your pinky finger, divide it between the two fingers, place it right here on Point Shen Min in the ear. Close your eyes for a minute. I did this practice every day for probably 9 months, and it completely unraveled this deeply ingrained body armoring pattern that was kind of a twisting in my trunk. And now, like with just putting this, not pushing, but placing it on right now, because we're not actually pushing, it's a light contact, I feel just an ever so slight unwinding of that patterning, because that is a default patterning that my body knew for so many years. But now when it happens, it's just ever so slight, because I don't go as deeply into it. Since over the years it started to work on other patterns. Yeah, good. So I will often feel a kind of unwinding or a rocking in my body. You may or may not feel anything. That doesn't mean it isn't working. And just stay with that. I'm going to keep talking for the sake of timeliness with this video. But I want you to stay with this point in oil as long as it feels like something's happening and it's good. There you go. And when it feels complete, you can bring your fingers. It's always amazing to me, like how different I look and my energy is before and after this technique. Smell? Take in the fragrance. Oh. Full mind, body, emotion, state change, reset in 3 minutes or less. That's really what it is. In closing, this point, Shen Men in the ear. If you've watched some of my other videos, you know that Shen is the name for the spirit of the heart in Chinese medicine, but it's also the name for consciousness and awareness. Shen Men means spirit's gate, spirit's gate. And Shen Men, as an acupuncture point, directly accesses the brain, the nervous system via the brain. So when we place the oil here, we are bringing balance to the brain and to the nervous system. I have a dear friend who's a neurofeedback doctor and who's an amazingly brilliant mind. And I was able to see his readings of people before and after. So he would do a reading of a brain, a scan of a brain with the neurofeedback equipment, and you can see which structures are overfiring and underfiring. And then they do the bergamot on Shen Men, and then there's a relative balance there that happens. The structures that are overfiring relax, the ones that have been underfiring get buoyed up. So this is more than just energetic. It's physiological, and it's biochemical, and it's powerfully effective. I have had this long-standing idea that I like to entertain, that if we could get everybody in courtrooms or in any kind of situation where there's conflict to do bergamot on Shen Men first, that the world would be a very, very, very different place. So do share with me in the comments what you think. If you already do this technique, how it is for you. If you start out doing it, share with me what your experience is. And if you like the video, give it a like, thumbs up, share it, subscribe to the channel. And I'm just, again, so delighted to be here with you. And also feel free in the comments anytime to ask for more of what you want, or if there's specific things that you want to know about with oils or points or what to treat, let me know. From my heart to yours, and until next time. Oh, I'm still going. How do I stop this thing?